I only knew Greg briefly, from the summer that I took over the campsite and he retired. He seemed harmless enough, if a bit strange, living in that nasty little caravan. As part of his official handover process, he gave me a big box of rule books that I was apparently supposed to give every camper when they arrived. I couldn't believe them. The amount of inches apart each tent had to be, the angle of pitch, permitted colours of guy ropes. No skipping ropes, marbles, conkers or throwing games. No singing with hand drums. I built a huge fire on the beach, invited the whole site for a big party and burned the lot. But then, awkward, Greg showed up. I guess he'd been collecting some things from his caravan and came to see what the noise was all about. You could tell he wasn't comfortable, but he sat down and tried to make conversation. I told him how beautiful I thought Shelmerston was, and he started telling me all about the wildlife here and the best places to spot birds. He was actually quite a sweet guy. He must have noticed what we were burning, but he never mentioned it. That was the last time I saw him. I always felt a bit guilty. I mean, I got him wrong. He wasn't that bad.
Well, it's a good thing she kept one of them. It must be around here somewhere.
What's this about dogs having to be on leads the whole time? Outrageous. I'm getting the scent of Grenkins again, Morris. I'll pop up to let you know when we're close to one.
Miles and I came to Shelmerston for the Sheller Cup final. Miles was the world champion for ages. Greg, the campsite manager, was a huge Sheller fan. Always gave us the best pitch on the campsite. Miles was up early every morning, training for the big race. Greg would always be lurking in the background, taking photos. It became rather annoying. How many photos did he need? Oh God, and one time he turned up at our barbecue and wouldn't leave. The man could not take a hint. So, race day arrives and Greg is there with his camera, of course, getting in everyone's way. So Greg leans out into the track as the pack came past, Miles in the lead. And Miles goes crashing right into Greg. Total disaster. Miles goes down and Kwasi flies past him to win the race. Miles was absolutely gutted. He definitely would have won it. Later that night, all us Shellers were on our way back from the pub and we heard Greg outside his caravan, just sat by himself, crying. Miles, he was such a good sport, went over and spoke to him, invited him over to our camp for a drink. So then Greg came back and hung out with us, brought his camera and showed us all his Sheller race photos. You know, that guy was actually a pretty great photographer. By the end of the night, Miles had forgiven him. Miles was good like that.
Shellers. I've never understood the appeal of that. Seems bloomin' uncomfortable to me. Poor old Greg. He was always rubbing people up the wrong way, but he meant well. And he really loved this place.
Oh, I wish we could use this! I am a very photogenic dog, you know.
My whole life I've dreamed of seeing a Jempson's sea owl. One day, I read the news that a guy on this little island called Shelmerston had discovered one. I had to see it. The only B&B on the island booked up really fast, so we decided to stay at the temporary campsite set up by the guy who discovered the sea owl, Greg Litherland. The atmosphere was amazing. There were twitchers from all over the world come to see it. Greg had given the owl a name, David Abrahams. A bit weird, but I guess he was the one who found it. And because it had no mate, it was lonely, and he'd made a model female owl out of concrete. That was quite impressive. I got to know Greg a bit during my stay. He really seemed to resent all the noise and fuss on the island. His island, as he thought of it. And the irony was that he was the one who'd got everyone excited about coming to Shelmerston. Greg told us he'd take us up in groups to the owl's nest site, but I snuck up early with my camera. It saw me and it flew off hooting and I didn't get a picture. I was gutted. I had to make do with a picture of the model. It wasn't the same.
I remember that. All those bird watchers suddenly arriving and nowhere for them to stay. I didn't think Greg had it in him to start a campsite, but he somehow pulled it together.
Oh, poor old David Abrahams.
I love camping. We've come to Shelmerston every summer with the kids for years. OK, our tent is a bit bright, but that means the kids can always see it. Greg seemed angry about everything this year. He told us our tent was outside of the regulation colours, and being around the kids seemed to really upset him. But they were only being kids. just running around playing. Greg was blowing that bloody whistle every 5 minutes. One day, Greg confiscated my little one's kite. He was terrifying. We still sometimes get nightmares about it. I had to do something. When I saw Greg put the whistle down, I pinched it and took out the pea. You know, the thing that makes the noise. I threw that pea somewhere Greg would never find it. You should have seen his face when he blew his whistle and nothing happened.
I always wondered how Greg managed to get so good at hand whistling.
The smell of rabbit poo. It doesn't excite me the way it used to when I was alive.
My best thing is throwing discs. I am really good. I like playing with Dan and Toddle. It's our favourite thing when we go camping on Shelmerston. One time, Greg Litherland came up the beach, all red-faced like an angry tomato. He pointed at a sign. It said, "No throwing games." He was yelling and shouting at us. He told me to give him my disc, but I wouldn't. I threw it high up into the air. And it went bang into a massive bird. Then the bird fell into the sea. I felt so awful. I never meant to hurt the bird. The whole thing was terrible. Mr. Litherland was screaming. He waded into the sea, picked up that bird and carried it back to the beach. He was crying and crying. I'm sorry, Mr. Litherland.
Oh, Greg. Poor guy. Oh, and that poor bird. I guess that explains why he was always so prickly.
Things. Reminds me of our walks on the beach. Woof! Okay, I've got his scent. It was quite faint, but I'm a very good dog. Let's go find him.
Greg! Oh, hello.
Morris, what are you doing here? Oh, hello there, pup.
Hi, Greg.
You can talk now. Rather prefer my animals when they don't talk.
Yeah, Greg, we need to ask you, would you be interested in being the next island custodian? It's a very important job.
Oh, no, absolutely not. This is your mess, and you can sort it out.
My mess? Well, how do you mean?
You dug her up. I warned you and I warned you when we were still alive that those archaeological digs were a bad idea. And now we know exactly how bad.
Well, now hold on, Greg. That's not how that works.
Oh, isn't it, talking dog? 3,000 years, no eruptions. You dig Aggie up, and then suddenly her grip on the island is weakening. Well, some coincidence that sounds like.
But I didn't. I never did.
No. There's no way I'm doing that job. It's too much obligation, it's not my responsibility, and frankly, one lifetime of humans was plenty for me. Now I'm going to stay right here until I can find David Abrams.
Fine. Thanks, Greg. See ya, I suppose.
Thanks, Greg.
It's not looking good, is it, old girl?
Don't worry, Morris. I hate it when you worry. It makes me nervous.
He's waiting for David Abrams. I guess I'm like him in that way. The most important person in my life wasn't technically a person. More like an island.
Yes, the island. This island. A whole island's worth of people and stories. Not like Greg at all. Everyone loves you.
Really? Well, loved me, perhaps, past tense.
No, they still do. And there's one more person who loves you we need to talk to. Our last prospect. I just know we're getting close now.
Hey, Sparky, how do you know all this stuff? I mean, you're just my dog, aren't you?
Well, nobody is just anything, Morris. I'm mostly the dog you raised, but I'm also kind of a messenger, a scout, part of something bigger. Aggie sent me to help guide you.
Aggie sent you?
No time to explain, Morris. We have to get to the last prospect.
Well, however it came to be, I'm glad I get to spend more time with you, old friend.
So am I, Morris. Now, off to see Samfire down at the harbour.
Ah, Sam. Yeah, lead the way, girl. Ah, the harbour. I always loved watching the boats come in and out. Never did get around to expanding the fishing exhibit, did I? You remember coming down here with me?
I'd have liked it better if you'd have let me swim.
I love your confidence, Sparky. But you always thought yourself a bigger dog than you actually were.
Oh. Lots more boats than there used to be, though, aren't there?
Certainly are. Shelmerston got busy. Though this is busier than even I remember. Say, how long have we been doing this search?
Oh, I don't know, Morris. Once you're dead, time seems to be a bit less important.
Does it? Oh, I don't know. I suppose it seems a bit galling that time and everything else keeps moving even though I've stopped. Makes a man feel unimportant.
Oh, you're not unimportant, Morris. You're saving the island. And to do that, we better go find some people who remember Samfire.
Yes, Sam surely understands the feeling of watching everything change. Fishfolk live for, what, 200 years? That's no small amount of change.
Not volcano change, though, Morris. And that's what we need to avoid. Off we go!
It was the 6th summer after I spawned that I went to my first Aggie's Day ceremony. You know, Aggie, the dry cider who saved the world from cracking in two. We don't go on land until we're 6 years old. It's all swimming, wafting around. Standing up is hard at first, the weight distribution. Anyway, I went up dry side for the ceremony, and that was where I first met Sam. It was so loud and hot out there, all that shell blowing. I was bored, and my body felt dry and heavy. I was too young, really. There were souvenir stalls selling bracelets with little stones of polished lava. I wanted one so bad, I would not shut up about it. Sam saw I was fed up. They took me up the beach, away to the dunes, and Sam gave me a little polished stone of my own to play with. Had a heart of gold, they did. It wasn't until years later that I found out it was a tiny replica of the one Aggie died on. We became good friends. Sam helped a lot. They were always on my side. My pod, we were quite traditional, didn't like us working with the dry siders, but Sam talked me into going for the job as a diver on the new harbour. If it wasn't for them, I don't think I'd have tried. That stone was my lucky charm. I took it with me when I went for the interview, and I took it down with me when I went on my first dive. I had a pocket made specially in my tool belt. Sam took me under their fin, invited me out to the Camel, and let me stay with them and Blythe on the ferry if it was a late one. And there were plenty of late ones. Karaoke nights are still my favorites. Every time I feel that lucky stone in my pocket, I think of Sam.
I remember all the fish folk coming up on the beach for Aggie's Day when I was a lad. Seems less of a big deal these days. I guess they still celebrate it, but, well, it's a lot more sedate. Back then, it was a huge event.
Oh, magic stones? I knew humans were superstitious, but I thought the fish folk would be a bit more savvy. I'm getting the scent of Grenkins again, Morris. I'll pop up to let you know when we're close to one.
I first met Sam when I sailed the new ferry, the Queen of the Isles, into harbor. Of course, I'd heard of the fish folk, but I'd never met one. Sam was an amazing pilot. Knew the waters better than any boatman. It was strange, steering a course for someone actually in the water, but we never went wrong with Sam to guide us in. Next time I was in Chelmerston, we went for a drink at the Camel. I'm more into bats than beer, but Sam was intriguing, and the atmosphere in there was great. Like a warm nest. Great band, too. Awesome sousaphone player. I think we got on because we were both a little bit on the outside of things. Sam invited me over for toast and hot chocolate. Honestly, hot chocolate doesn't do it for me. But the toast, that multi-seed bread. Sam made the best toast. I told Sam that next to a good cuttlefish bone, that it was my favorite snack. I stayed over. In the morning, we went for a walk along the beach. And just as the sun was rising, I took them flying on my back. We went up and looked down over the islands. Sam wasn't scared at all. They said it was like swimming through the air. It was on the next trip to Shelmerston. We just sighted land when Sam's head popped out of the water right beside my berth and passed me a fresh cuttlefish bone, carved especially for me. When we moved in together, it was the best day of my whole life. I put that cuttlefish bone on my bedside table within beak reach. I still look at it every day, every single day.
I just remembered that time Blythe and I did a duet at the karaoke. Oh, I can't believe I agreed to it. Must have had a few too many. I never knew how Sam and Blythe met.
I used to love finding these on the beach.
When I was a kid, I hated the annual Morlo Cull. I was kept away and found excuses not to be there. Then, aged 10, my dad marched me down to the beach with other men and put a knife in my hand. It was the worst day of my life. I saw Morlos slit from jaw to belly, more blood than you could imagine. I didn't sleep for months after. But you grow up, don't you? I never felt it right that we was killing Morlos, but what could I do about it? I was just a fisherman. One day I see Sam Fire, the new harbour officer, handing out leaflets on the quayside. Stop that cull! I went along to that first meeting at the campsite. Greg Litherland was one of the other organisers. It was beautiful. So much hope around that campfire. When I spoke about the pain of the Morlo, it really felt like the young uns were listening. Me, Sam and Greg held regular events to raise funds for badges and patches. I was proud to wear mine on me best Gansey. There was quite a rift between us and the old guard. They felt the ban was an attack on our ways. Sam and me took a load of the fishermen out for a beer, and Sam made them listen. They really respected Sam. We got most of them on our side that way. By 87, we finally felt like we had enough support to push for change. So the week before the Morlo showed up, we organised a mass dying on the beach. There were loads of us lying down on that sand, islanders, fishermen, fish folk all together. And the press showed up, and the mainland TV, and for the first time in 500 years, we stopped that cull.
I'm so glad we don't do that cull anymore. I was proud of Sam and that lot when they finally made the old uns see sense. And, well, I did my part. Held a lot of those early meetings at the museum, we did.
Oh, I love Morlos. Such gentle creatures.
By the time Sam started as the harbour controller in '79, the fishing industry in Shelmiston was on its arse. No way to compete with those factory trawlers from the mainland, was there? Couldn't moor those things anywhere near the island, even if we had them. Of course we were all smuggling, stands to reason, done it? There was no money. All those old fishing sheds on the quay, the ones the tourists like, were falling down. Old place looked, pardon me, like a tip. There was a lot of trouble at first. Sam trying to stick by the rules and catch us out any way they could, and us trying any which way to give her the runabout. It wasn't easy, mind you. She was smart, that Sam. You never knew when they were going to pop her head out of the water beside your tub. And to be fair to Sam, some of them smuggling boys were bad uns. Worse stuff than booze on some of them boats, and that's the truth. Probably no bad thing Sam put a stop to it. But in time, Sam started to see how things were, how we do things. And we came to an understanding of sorts. If Sam turned a blind eye to a bit of the decent stuff, the harmless stuff, then we'd report the worst of it. I mean, we all want to keep the seas safe, stands to reason. Plus, Sam was partial to a bottle or two of the sheep shank on occasion. Oh, yeah. Sam was sharp as a gutting knife. They made us hand over some of the, shall we say, dividends to fix up the quay. All them sheds and that. Make them into something we'd be proud of. Turn things around for Shelmiston, that did. Now we get more of those tourists since the big ferry started. And they love a day out on a boat. Ken takes them all out, he does. At the same time, Sam organised a kind of work-sharing thing with the fish folk. Got some of them to swim along with the fishing boats. Help them locate the biggest shoals. Gave those big trawlers with all their fancy radar gear a run for their money. We'll never be big players in the fishing down here. But thanks to Sam, we hold our own. Bless him.
I reckon I still have a bottle or two of sheep shank stashed away at the museum. Don't suppose anyone will ever drink them now.
Ah, a different kind of spirit to the ones we've been looking for.
I swim with a pod south of the Fire Isles. I believe the Drysiders call the larger one Shelmerston. It's where the ceremony happens for the Drysider who stopped the world from cracking. That's where I first heard talk of toast, and where I met the friend called Samfire. I did not believe it at first, a food which snaps so dry. Then one morning at sunup, I followed the ship and caught a blackened slice as it arced into the water. This was the start of my lifelong love of toast. I saw Samfire on the dry side and came up out of the sea to ask them for toast. They asked me to put on some pants, but I refused to denigrate myself with dry-side fabric. No matter, I had brought some shiny coins with me that I found on the seabed and secreted in my swimming folds. Sam took me to their parents' toast shack, but they refused to serve me without clothes. They also told me that my shiny coins were unsuitable, too old. So Sam lent me some trousers, and I swept the toast shack in return for crispy slices. Sam taught me some of the ways of the Drysiders, but to be honest, I'm only interested in the toast. I never wanted to eat anything else. Sam understood this. I spend my nights swimming through the black waters of the deepest ocean trenches. By day, I come up onto quayside and fill up on the finest crusted seedy bloomer, almost black, no butter.
Oh, I could really go for a nice piece of toast right now. But, yeah, with butter. It's a shame, but it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of toast on this side.
Oof, Sam. This is an easy scent profile. I'm coming, Sam. Ahoy there, Samfire!
Morris and Sparky! Lovely to see you both. What can I do for you two?
Well, we wanted to ask you something. It's about Aggie.
She doesn't have long left now, does she? Poor thing.
No, not long at all. We were hoping you might replace her as custodian.
Oh, Morris. I spent years of my life as harbour master trying to keep people from meddling with nature. I don't feel any differently now. I'm appreciative of all Aggie has sacrificed for us, but the island spirit isn't evil. It just needs to erupt from time to time. And if it needs to now, let it, I say. Let nature do what it must. As the fish folk say, the tides will tell.
Yeah, Sam, I hear that. I really do.
No, Morris. We can't just give up.
Now, we'll talk about this in a bit, Sparky. Sam, it's always good to see you. Will you be around later?
I think I will. A volcanic eruption is a rare and beautiful thing. I think I'd like to see it.
Okay, we just need to talk to Aggie. She'll know what to do.
No, Sparky. I've been thinking about it, and I think Samfire's right. I think it's maybe time to let the town go.
No, Morris. It's not.
No, it's all right, Sparky girl. It's over. This isn't my town anymore. The only ones around here who remember me are ghosts.
That's not true.
No, it is. But that's all right. Truly it is. Everything for a season and all that. And I miss the people I knew. The people who've moved on. I want to see them again. I think I will take Pete Nochop on his offer and head into the west with him. Shelmerston doesn't need Morris Lupton any longer.
Morris Lupton, you will not give up. You have been granted a precious responsibility and you will honor it.
Sparky?
I'm sorry about that. Remember when I told you I was mostly Sparky? I am, but mostly.
Then what else are you?
I am the rock that you stand on. The wood you people built this town from. The magma bubbling beneath your feet. I am Shelmerston. And right now I want to erupt. But I have also made connections to the things that live here. Connections I want to keep alive. I need you, Morris.
Right. Well,
And I'm still your Sparky. And I need you, Morris. We all do.
Oh, Sparky.
I know you feel forgotten. I know you want to move on. I do too, but I can't until I wrap up this last bit of unfinished business. Will you try one last avenue with me? If we still can't find a solution, then I'll be done. It'll all be done. And we can go into the West together. Please.
All right, Sparky. One last try. But who else is there to talk to?
Aggie.
Aggie? But where is she? I mean, she's everywhere, isn't she?
She is. But I can sniff her out. I just need some mementos.
But where would we find mementos from back then? Oh, of course.
Back to your museum, Morris.
Ah, well, it's reopened. Well, I suppose that's good. You need to keep up the footfall. Everything has to move on.
Well, yes, but, it is still your museum, Morris. It wouldn't be here without you.
It was never my museum, Sparky. It was Shelmerston's. It's changing, but, I think it should. So, what happens now? How do we find 4,000-year-old memories?
Come with me, Morris. There's one more thing I ought to show you.
Okay, Sparky. Well, don't suppose I'll ever look at Aggie's room the same way again, will I?
Morris, take a look at those skulls, please.
The skulls? Well, they have memories inside them? Oh, that's rather morbid, Sparky.
Not quite. Look, I didn't explain this before because I felt things were confusing enough, but that slicing is a bit more powerful than I've led you to believe.
Oh, well, what do you mean?
Well, we aren't limited to memories of people who are alive. People are bounded by time, but memories aren't. Check it out.
Oh, I didn't think dead stomachs could get queasy, but here we are. Where are we, Sparky?
When are we, Morris? This is Shelmerston in Aggie's time. You should be able to find some memories of her here.
You are some dog, Sparky.
It was the worst night in the world when Aggie was born. It began in the old village, the one swept away by the rivers of fire. The ground shook and the earth split open and spat sparks. The sun hid and the huts burst into flame as we fled. I thought we would all die, everyone washed in the burning orange death, and Aggie's mother howling with the pain of the child coming. We made it as far as the cliff top by the sea. The mountain was still roaring and roaring. The rock ran in rivers toward the sea. The air smelled of death and poison. But Aggie was perfect. Small and angry, her tiny fists pummeling the air. I used my knife to cut the cord. We chose a spot for the new village closer to the beach. The burning rivers cooled to pumice and black glass. I made sure everyone knew that a life that began in this way would be special. Not everyone believed me, but Aggie proved me right.
My goodness. Giving birth like that must have been awful. What a terrifying situation.
So, where do you think that knife is? Should we look around here, or...?
No, I'm pretty sure I've seen that knife before. Back at the museum, I reckon.
Okay, Morris, let's go. Beautiful. And
there is so much history in this knife.
Ooh.
I'd love to see what else it got up to.
I'm getting the scent of Grenkins again, Morris. I'll pop up to let you know when we're close to one.
Of course we watched her. We had heard of her birth and seen her on the shore. Her feet sometimes in the seawater, her body in the sun. We did not show ourselves at first. As a test, we left the mirror on the black shore, born of the volcano on the same day as her, and waited to see what would happen, to see if it called to her. She picked it up, turned it from side to side. She took it home. The next time I saw her, I introduced myself. We sang together, and I showed her how the mirror worked. How if you emptied your mind and thought of air and light and sea, you would see things in its surface. How things would unfurl in the future. Aggie was better at mirror gazing than any of us sea folk. She saw a girl, her own daughter not yet born, as leader of the dry folk. I told Aggie to keep on gazing into that mirror, that one day the island would need something more than a leader.
Oh, I had a box of rocks that looked like that mirror somewhere. Where did I put it?
Whoa. This thing is really powerful, Morris. Can you feel it?
I was always fearless. My mother Aggie told me there was nothing I couldn't do. With Otsul and without, I hunted the deer in the woods and the hares on the mountain, all before I had taken my first lover. And younger still, one time Aggie had me knock her tooth out when she was in terrible pain. I didn't mind even when the blood poured out. It was easy for me. Spears and knives were my nature. Death and courage were my meat and drink. I knew about Aggie's mirror, of course, but did not believe all of it. When Aggie warned us the Mauler was sick and there would be fewer calves for the following years, none of us listened. It was to be my first cull. I wanted their blood. It was my nature. We would not take less of the Mauler just because an old woman told us to. She came to the beach after the Mauler slaughter, her hair wild, eyes burning with fury, raged and shouted like a woman out of her mind. "We had killed too many," she said. Then she left the village, told us she was done with all of us, forever. As Otsul marked me with oil and blood, I did not mourn my mother leaving. I was young and foolish, and the sight of her ashamed me. But of course, I did not see what was to come.
To think that they were still having the same arguments about the Morrow way back in the Bronze Age.
Aggie must have sensed the trouble ahead. Maybe she was trying to find a way to prevent it.
What a beautiful object. Delighted to have it in our museum.
She was alone, and I would bring her food sometimes, samphire and sea urchins. She would make dry food and we would eat it together. Textures unlike any we knew that broke apart in your hands and in your mouth. We would sing together, make tea together. We became her family. The dry folk left her alone. She had a companion for a few seasons, a hind who came down from the mountain and slept at her fire. And then, for a few more, a golden hare that ate from her hand. One night we all felt it. Those of us in the water and those above. The island waking, rumbling, alive again, more furious than before. I found Aggie awake, tending her fire, unsleeping, unresting, staring into her mirror. She told me she'd seen the island sinking into orange fire and boiling sea, lost forever above and below. The village and our town in the sea caves, all gone. Aggie went to the shore and blew the sinistral shell, calling our people up from the water. Aggie sang for them, the oldest song, and we spoke for some time. That night, the sea and sky was all the same color, a deep grey blue like a mackerel's back without the glitter. As the dawn approached, Aggie left the beach to return to her people, to tell them what must be done.
I'm not sure I want to see what happens next.
We have to, Morris.
Such a small thing. But it changed the entire course of our island.
We heard the shell and knew Aggie had returned. Ibni was the leader then. It had taken many seasons, more than we would have liked, but there were finally enough Morlo again and our village was growing. We were strong. Some of the younger ones didn't know Aggie and didn't want to hear her, called her a moon-shot crone, but Ibni looked in her mother's face and saw the truth of it. The end would come. The earth was growling again. There would be hot rivers of death and clouds of poison. But Aggie brought us the answer. She would give herself to the island. Ibni's voice shook. Surely a deer or a goat would be enough. The year's finest, blackest calf. Aggie cast down her eyes and shook her head. We all knew. I offered my blade, but Aggie turned me away. She took her knife that had cut her own cord the night the volcano last erupted and wrapped Ibni's fingers tight around the bone hilt. "It must be you, Ibni," she said, "and it must be now before the sun comes up. This day, this morning, or we are all gone. The village, the people, the island." Aggie embraced her daughter. Ibni whispered something, but I could not catch the words. Both women's faces shone with tears. Aggie sat on the ceremonial stone, the tears streaming now from all of us. Aggie delivered her final message. She told us her body must not be burned or given to the sea, but lain in the earth of the island beneath the mountain. Ibni was shaking, and then I realized it was not just Ibni. The whole island was trembling under our feet, waking up. Aggie told Ibni to be quick, the end was coming. As Aggie took Ibni's hand and guided the knife to her side, we saw the fish folk rising from the sea, hundreds of them, so many. I had no idea there were so many. Aggie was quiet the whole time, but Ibni cried out. A sound of longing and hurting from her heart like I had never heard. Then she fell silent, and as Aggie's life poured from her body, the island and everything on it fell suddenly still. Utterly still. We wept then, in sorrow and relief. Then the fish folk were among us, countless, numberless. One embraced Ibni, holding her up as it seemed her own legs might give way. When the sun came up that day, land and sea folk stood together for the first time, talking and singing the old songs, Aggie's songs, together. Ibni and the fish folk took Aggie up onto the mountain. They laid her in the peat alongside the knife and all the things she would need on her journey. Ibni watched over Aggie for days afterwards. Before she was covered, she placed a sacred carved stone, Aggie's beloved hair, inside her mother's mouth, to guide her and help her keep the mountain still forever. And so it was.
Oh, Aggie. Now that's bravery. Sparky, it feels a bit, disrespectful looking inside Aggie's body like that.
You were the one who dug her up and put her on a plinth, Morris.
Yeah, but I...
Relax, Morris. This body isn't Aggie anymore. She's long past needing this old thing.
Well, all right then.
Okay, Morris. I'll level with you. We absolutely didn't need to find Aggie's mementos in order for me to sniff her out. She's here, waiting for you. She has been this whole time.
But then, why did we need to visit the Bronze Age?
Aggie thought it was important for you to see those memories, so you would understand her path before you met her. But also, wasn't it cool?
That it was. The things I've seen now. Oh, Sparky, thank you so much. To think, for a while there, I was worried that being dead was gonna be boring.
You are very welcome, Morris. Okay, so, shall we go say hello to Aggie?
Yes!
I'll sing you a song of the Queen of the Sea. When I first met her and when she first met me.
Only one more riddle to solve, Morris. And then...
And then?
Wondrous delights, Morris. Wondrous.
Yeah, right.
Quiet, dog. You're in the company of riddle masters here. Just one more, Morris. One more. Morris, you did it! Incredible work, my boy. Superlative effort.
Oh, well, thanks. Oh, thanks, Mr. Whitstable.
And now, for your reward.
Oh, boy.
Here it is, Morris. Your very own certificate of riddle mastery.
Wow, oh, thanks, Mr. Whitstable. I don't know what to say.
I'm so proud of you, Morris. And listen, whenever you want to look at this certificate again, to bask in your own brilliance, you only have to press pause and you can look at it again. And now, a song.
I work when I play and I play when I work. I can run but don't walk, I have a mouth but don't talk. I grow in the winter, I die in the spring. I have eyes but don't weep, I have a song but don't sing. What am I? Why am I? Why do I exist? Who owns the fish? Riddle me this. What is that which belongs to you, but others use it more than you do? What goes up and down the hill? In spite of all, it standeth still. I have streets, but not roads, forests, no trees. I have rivers, no water. What am I, please? What am I, please? What does it mean? What did you miss? Who owns the fish? Riddle me this. Who owns the fish?
Morris, Sparky, it's so good to see you both.
Hey, Aggie.
Wait, you know me?
Of course I do. Morris Lupton, one of the best-loved men in the history of Shelmerston, with the very finest dog.
Me? Oh, I don't know.
Come now, let's go out of this place, into the air.
The one part of Shelmerston that looks just the same as the first day I saw it. I suppose it always will.
I love this beach. It's always been my favourite beach. I'm gonna go run.
Aggie, look at Sparky. She's shining.
That's the hope and the joy shining out of her.
That's it, isn't it? The point of all of this.
It is. Hope. Home. This island, it chose the two of you, just as it chose me.
And where will you be heading now? Heaven or something?
Heaven? What's that?
Well, I don't quite know how to explain it. But to me, it would be an awful lot like this beach.
I don't know where I'm going, but I'm hoping to see Ibni, my daughter. It's been a very long time, but I remember her. We never forget the ones we love, do we, Morris?
No, I don't suppose we do.
I think she wants something, Morris.
Huh. Would you look at that? I just found a tennis ball in my pocket. Here you are, girl.